All right, Heather, A through Z.
Let's go with M.
I got this. M. Not necessarily in movie news, but in the world of music, Taylor Swift officially bought her masters. So she was recording Taylor's versions of all her albums because somebody bought her masters and she didn't have access to them, and so she was real mad about that. But since she had songwriting credits, she could just re-record all her stuff and make her own masters. She did recently buy her own masters now, though, so she actually owns like completely her entire catalog of music. So that means that she owns publishing and masters rights for everything, and therefore will make $1 trillion. And yeah, it's kind of crazy. Not a lot of musicians ever get that. But she does now own all her music again. So
That's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah. And it's real funny because she owns her masters and no one has written an article about how that might be the downfall of music. It's real crazy.
Yeah, I saw her post something on her social media about just like posing with all of her album covers. And I was like, oh, what is this? So that makes sense why.
Yeah, a lot of fans were like, oh, I can't wait for the Taylor's version of Reputation. She's openly said that's not really in the plans anymore. She was only a quarter way through re-recording that, and now she owns it again, so... And she said one of the reasons why it was kind of hard to re-record it is because she was talking about how that album, she was in a very specific mindset and like experiencing a very specific time in her life and stuff like that. So she was like artificially recreating that was hard. Like,
yeah, that would be tough.
Trying to get into that mindset again. She was just like, when you're not there at all, it was having it be very slow. She said she might release like additional songs from those recording sessions. She still might do that now that she owns them. She said she might even do something like later down the line. She might try to re-record some stuff with it, but because when she re-records it is like she also did her first album and stuff like that too. So it's like a very specific thing where it does modernize a lot of her older music when she re-records it and stuff. So she said she might end up doing it again later, but now that whole idea is kind of scrapped and on the back burner. For good reason.
I'm curious, like what is the process to get your masters and everything like that? Like, if anybody
I can tell you.
It would be Taylor, but yeah.
The process is whoever owns them has to be willing to sell them, and you have to have that amount of money. That's all it is.
Yeah, because I feel like she would have had the amount of money, but maybe they weren't willing to sell it. Yeah.
And the reason why they weren't willing to sell it is, it's Taylor Swift shit, right? And, if they were wanting to listen to Reputation on Spotify, they were making money. Because like I said, there's no Taylor's version of it. So the only way to listen to it on all those platforms was to listen to the old version. But honestly, the catalog wasn't worth as much as it used to be because she did the Taylor versions. A true Taylor Swift fan knows if there's a Taylor's version, you listen to that one. And so the person that had all the masters just wasn't making anywhere near the money they thought they were going to make when they bought them. And so after a war of attrition she's released 4 out of the 6 albums they owned. She's re-released her own version. They're only making a money on a third of the albums they bought. So Yeah.
That's smart then. That was like a very smart move on her part.
She got
But
the
also,
idea from
like,
Kelly Clarkson.
yeah, I remember hearing about that. Like, but also just like the freedom of being like, cool, I'm still doing this on my own terms. Like, even if you have my masters, I'm still going to do what I need to do for my music that I've created. And now she has the masters anyway. I love that for her. That's great.
And because I know, like, people give her shit, whatever, she is technically the publishing owner of all her songs. So that means she's got main songwriting credits on her songs. So that always helps. Because legally speaking, to record a song and release it, you also, to make money on it, you have to have the publishing. So that's why she was able to re-record all her songs. She already owned the publishing, because unless you're a part of like a team or whatever of all this other stuff, most songwriters always own their own publishing because of that. Because you wrote the song. You know what I mean? That's just automatic. You're the, you get the publishing rights. So that's why, like, that was also very important though. She owned the publishing, therefore she was legally able to re-record the stuff and own those masters. So that is the double-edged sword of it all. She was able to do that because she owned the publishing, But yeah, it's a really crazy thing. Like I said, not a lot of artists ever get that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
In other news, actor Ed Gale, and you might be going, Sterling, who the fuck is Ed Gale? Ed Gale is the actor that actually played the physical in-person version of Chucky and like Howard the Duck and all that stuff. He passed away this past week. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't finish my little note here. He was also convicted in 2024 for arranging a meeting with a minor for lewd purposes because he is a pedophile and a registered sex offender.
I love when you bury the lead. Yeah, that's gross.
I get that people are going to be sad that this man died, but also just keep in mind, registered sex offender trying to get those kids.
As of last year.
I'm not going to lie, guys. It's one of my favorite parts of this podcast. Reminding people who the registered sex offenders are. Weirdly enough, he was also in a movie called Mom and Dad Save the Universe, which also had that other sex pest fuck, the dad from Beetlejuice. They were both in a movie together.
Oh, great.
Isn't that gross?
Yep.
Burn
it, anybody.
And weirdly enough, I don't know in what capacity, but this man was also in the Little Rascal movie. So that's gross. Good times. In other movie news, Thunderbolts ain't doing good, guys. Heather brought this up, and I looked up some more specifics. That Thunderbolts is bottom 4 MCU movies box office wise, and not doing good, which is real crazy because it's pretty good.
I know, that makes me sad. It's such a good film. Like, I don't like that.
I'm just really surprised word of mouth is not getting that movie anything. It's one of those weird things that used to be what Marvel could really bank on. Doing a group of misfits, these characters that not a lot of people know of. And just because it's a good movie, word of mouth kind of just carries it over that edge. I.e., Guardians of the Galaxy. This movie ain't doing nothing. Especially
surprising
when Lilo and Stitch came out
surprising.
And just wiped the floor with it already.
And like, maybe it speaks a little bit to what we've talked about before with like, is it superhero fatigue? Is it because of like this phase of Marvel? Is it because it's not really any of like the main superheroes people know? I don't know, but I mean, I felt like because Florence Pugh was in it, it was going to pull more because people love her character and people love her. So I just really am surprised by that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just really hard to say because when the superhero movies come out with like some of your bigger stars or some of the bigger characters like Spider-Man or something, then these movies do a lot better, you know? Um, so you look at the cast and you go, well, these are a lot of these characters were minor characters in other films, or they're coming off of films that previously didn't do as well, you know. So that's kind of a tough place to be. Also, they was following up Brave New World, and even though more people went to that, it made more money. People weren't exactly high on the quality of it, you know. And then you've got Marvel having to come out and sort of that press conference where they sort of admitted that they had lost their way a little bit with trying to produce all of these television shows and balancing that with the films, and Kevin Feige was spread too thin. He couldn't be a part of everything, et cetera, et cetera. So the hope is that they can turn it around. And so now, you know, that and now that's going to put even more pressure on Fantastic Four, because Fantastic Four is supposed to be kind of one of those real lead-in movies to these Avengers movies. So it kind of has to do well. But Fantastic Four itself doesn't have the best track record in movie theaters. So
I mean,
a lot of pressure on that film, and
the thing is,
who knows
is there's
with these
a lot
results
of
how it'll do, because whether you're a mediocre film or a good one, both kind of had trouble soaring to the heights of some of the phase one MCU movies.
Well, one thing with it though is I get what you're saying with there being a lot of pressure, but to me, I don't, almost could make the argument that there's not, just for the sheer fact that once they get to Secret Wars, which is the end of Phase 6, right? Secret Wars could also be the grand reset of everything very easily. They can take the parts that have been working and making money and continue those, and they can also reset anything they want at that point. So if they want to reset the universe and kind of like rein it back in to where they can get it back under control, like they were doing in phases 1 through 3, especially before it became the behemoth it was, you have that built-in reset button with Secret Wars. So I think that really can help. But yeah, outside of that, I mean, but on the flip side, Jastin, you are absolutely right. Because, I mean, you've got Fantastic Four, you've got Doomsday, you've got Secret Wars, and I think you technically have Spider-Man 4 in there. And
yeah, somewhere in there.
I think that's it for Phase 6 completely. Is just those movies. So, but also that might help them. You're doing an entire phase in 4 fucking movies. And from what I've understood too, Spider-Man 4 may or may not really affect anything with it. Just because Doomsday pushed its release date. Like, it changed its release date. Like, it pushed back like 6 months. Spider-Man didn't move. So I don't think, at least to Doomsday, the story of Spider-Man 4, I don't think is going to affect it. Because otherwise they would have asked Sony to push it also. You know. Which is fine. I mean, we all know, at least based on the initial casting announcements, Tom Holland was not in Doomsday. They did not announce him. I mean, I know they also said that that's not everybody they're going to have, but I'm just saying he wasn't in the initial casting announcement. So it being unrelated to at least Doomsday isn't that big of a shocker in that regard. But I don't know. We'll see. Only a couple of months till Fantastic Four. Don't get a lot to wait on. You guys got any more news?
That's all I have.
Nope.
We were going to do a new segment for you guys, but couldn't find some stuff. So hopefully next week we'll have it. Outside of that, real quick, you guys watch anything this past week? Or read? Or experience? Fair enough.
No.
I'm trying to think if
Not
there's
this week.
anything outside of like, this for this particular podcast, if I watched anything of note. And I didn't this week.
Oh, you know what? I do have something. I don't think this is going to matter much to you guys, but I'll just put it out there anyway. So anybody who's like an anime fan probably knows that when they come out with these live action versions of anime, they're usually panned and fans don't like them, or it's dumb, or
Jastin, I don't know what you're talking about. I watched that live action Dragon Ball Z movie and it felt just like the show.
stop it.
Just like
Stop
the
it.
show.
Stop it.
Just as good.
Still petitioning
Stop
for Bola Ogun to redo that on her own terms because she would do that well and she really wants to, and I think it would be great.
And all I
Yeah.
know is it's
And
practically
she
the
is a
same.
real fan of it, so
I couldn't
she
tell
would
the difference.
probably do it justice.
It was all the same.
Shut up. But anyway, but some years ago, and this stuff is not new or anything, these aren't new releases, but it is on Netflix and I stumbled upon it. But there's an anime called Rurouni Kenshin, and it was pretty big back in the 90s and stuff like that. It's kind of a old school anime. Well, some years ago,
Is that
they
the guy with
did
the
a
cat
live
ears?
action version of it.
Is that the guy with the cat ears?
No, the guy with the red hair, samurai,
Oh, no.
red hair, scar on his face.
Who's the guy with the cat ears then?
Guy with cat ears.
He's got like long white hair. He's got cat ears or something like that.
Inuyasha? I think you're
I
talking
don't
about
fucking know. I'm
Inuyasha.
asking you.
I think you're talking about Inuyasha. But,
Okay. Fair enough.
yeah, but no, different samurai fighter person. Well, anyway, they had made these live action ones in Japan, I think. And it was all, live actors and stuff like that. And I had heard about them, but there was nowhere to see them. And I don't know when they put them on Netflix, but I stumbled upon, and there's like 5 different films that they made. And so I watched the first couple of them. And I mean, these films were made a while ago. Like the first one I watched was 2011. The other one I watched was like 2013 or something like that. So these came out a while ago. But they were good, man. Like, very good. The choreography was very good. The dialogue was great. It was awesome. It really, if you like that kind of sword fighting type of stuff, it really reminded me of like some of those old school, like samurai sword fighting type of movies. And it was really good. Great choreography, good visual effects. Like they really did the anime justice. So we may finally have some live action movies to actually live up to their anime counterparts because they were great. So I'm going to watch all the other ones. It was really good stuff.
That does remind me though, Justin, in my iTunes, I do have the live action Phoenix Wright movie.
Oh, Okay. Yeah, that was another one I had heard about, but
It's in my iTunes. We should check that out, at least you and me.
yeah.
No. I actually am interested in that one because I not too long ago like actually started playing the game. And so I think that that would be really kind of cool to check out.
Well, there you
Aren't
go.
those games fun? Aren't they just the best?
They
All right,
are.
Jastin,
yeah.
you say that's him. So in the group message, Heather sent a picture, and that's the guy who I'm talking about. And Jastin says, yes, that's him. Yes, that's who.
Inuyasha.
Okay. Okay.
No, but that
Not
is
the
not.
guy he was
That's
talking
who
about,
you
but
were
the guy
talking
you were
about.
talking
But
about.
no, that is not Kenshin,
Yes.
who I
Okay.
was talking about.
But yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Those games, they're just the best.
They're so fun. Like they're obviously like really old school, but they're just fun. Like I really enjoy them. I really do.
No, they're super fun. I love those games, man, and they're just really good stories. I need to play the last couple. The last few games I have not played, and I need to play them because they released a newer game that's like, yeah, I can't remember if it's a prequel, like the old generation or the. I think it's the old.
Yes. It's an older generation. Yes.
Okay. And that came out on the Switch, and I heard it was great. Like I heard it was really, really freaking good, but I refuse to play it though until I finish the I think I've got one game left that I need to finish, and it's on my tablet. I got them all on my tablet. Like, so yeah, I need to do that, Heather. You reminded me. Maybe this
Yeah.
weekend I'll get on
That's
that.
what's kind of fucked, dude, for me is like between my Switch, my 3DS, which I know the 3DS is now obsolete when it comes to this stuff, but between that, between my 3DS, my Switch, and my PlayStation, I have every one of the games, including the Miles Edgeworth game. I have
That's great too.
all of them. But they're
That
between
Edgeworth is cool, bro,
it's
because you
just
got to like
between so many
investigate and
systems.
stuff.
Yeah. But it's just between so many systems. And I'm like, there's just not one place I have it all. It's just all over the place. I'm like, man. But and some of it is really, I do have like the first Phoenix Wright game. I think I've bought that, I think, no less than 6 different times. I bought it originally for the original DS. I think I bought it again for the 3DS. I bought it for my iPhone. I think it's on my Switch also. I've bought that game so many times.
Mm,
And it's just fun every single fucking time.
yeah. Yeah. And I love 1, 2, and 3. That's just a great trilogy of games, man. Like I've replayed those several times.
And I'll give it credit too. Apollo Justice ain't bad either.
Yeah, not bad at all. Not bad at all.
It's a little weird. It's a little weird of a change of pace, but like it's not being Phoenix to start and stuff like that, but not bad.
Who's the like that opposing guy that has like the
Edgeworth.
gray hair?
Miles Edgeworth.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Edward. The last time I played, I was on a story that involved him.
Oh yeah. Oh man, you haven't even gotten into some of the fun. You haven't even gotten to Godot yet. Godot is one of my favorite prosecutors.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
I need
coffee,
to like.
man. It's got to have that
get
bitter
back on
coffee.
Oh, I loved
I just
it
need
when he
to
threw
watch more or play more.
everybody for a loop. But he's like, I like my coffee like I'd like my women, hot and bitter.
No, he's great. There's a lot of great characters. A lot.
And that's what makes it work is the characters.
Yeah.
Oh man, and also it's got one of the most painful twists in video game history to me. After that first turnabout, that first one,
Oh yeah.
oh,
I actually know what you're talking about. Yeah.
that ripped my heart out.
Yeah.
And it's because the characters are written very well. I mean, even when you have somebody with the name of Larry Butts, it still works. You gotta love those. What is it? The naturalizations, whatever the fuck they call them, whenever they changed languages. Yeah, they're like, oh yeah, let's put Larry Butts.
There's a lot of people with funny there's so many of them with funny names and references to stuff where you say their name together and it's really one word just split apart. Like I love that they do that too.
I remember very distinctly one of my favorite random characters in any of them is there's a guy in the first game. I want to say it's like the second or third. No, it's not the second case. I think the third or fourth case, whatever. No, he had to be in the second game, I guess. There's only 3 cases, and then there's the bonus turnabout in the first game. Anyway, it's the guy that sells the udon noodles. And he's just like, oh yeah, they're just the saltiest noodles. And just every time you talk to him, he's just like, oh yeah, you want a bowl of the saltiest noodles you'll ever eat.
Yep.
And see, that's the thing with the game. He's just the most random character ever. That's stuck in my head till I die.
Yeah. And it's funny how, like, some of those people, even when they're in court, they're doing the same shit. You know, here, Judge, do you want some of this? Judge is like, oh, I think I'll have some. And then some of their fees try to be like, are we in court? Judge, you can't eat that in court.
And I just love that conceit of, well, because of the world we live in, court cases can only last 3 days. And whatever I decide at the end of that day is just it forever.
That is it.
I can't say much. I've more or less modeled my entire aesthetic after being a young version of that judge.
Yeah. Don't you think he's guilty, Judge? I sure do. And if you don't have anything to say, Phoenix, after this, then he's gonna be guilty. I mean,
dude, those are the
damn, that's how it works. I mean, damn.
And if you just present the wrong evidence 3 times, the judge just goes, you know what? Fuck all this. I'm done. Guilty.
Yeah. Guilty.
It's absurd.
Just say, man, why don't we? Yeah, the prosecutor be like, why don't we up the ante? And then all those strikes you get go away, and it's just one. And it's like, if you fuck this up.
It's just
and Phoenix is like, oh shit, if I fuck this up, he's guilty. I'm like, what? I get one shot.
His internal dialogue saying it too, like, yeah.
And it's just the most arbitrary thing in the world. It's like, hey, let's up the ante. You just get this one shot to prove it. And the judge is like, sounds fair. What you got? And you're just like, no, judge, that's not no.
And it's hilarious because they're supposed to be in court in the game, but then the prosecutor character will go, huh, and then your little things will go away like he's aware. Suddenly they're all aware that it's a game and that you only get one chance. Why do you get to mess with the game mechanics? Like,
man, if only they lived in the modern day and they could like do proper like music licensing. And just think about it, in that one instance when Phoenix is sitting there like, oh no, what have I got to do? And it just starts playing One Shot by Eminem.
Yeah.
My favorite is just the funny like motions that they do with like the type of cartoon it is, where they're just like, hand on the desk or you, and like just like the one motion in every other scene.
I do love the objection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Miles just.
Or when you do a good cross-examination and they act like they took damage or something, they're like, oh, you know, like the cross-examination.
But what about this
like
evidence?
It physically hurt them. And I love that game.
Just the visible sweat too. Like if you're not doing well, Phoenix just sweating like crazy.
That anime flop sweat.
Yeah.
I'm really excited about this, guys. When we have an open week, we'll do that.
That sounds great.
For sure.
Are we now ready for our final mission?
Yes.
Yes.
Cue the not that theme song.
Somebody will listen to me. Nobody knows anything but you. All right. Are you ready? Yep. Come on.
Cinema Slayers.
Hey, Cinefans, and welcome back to another episode of the CineScores podcast. I'm Sterling, and as always, I'm joined by Heather and Jastin. And tonight we're going to talk about what we liked, didn't like, and everything in between with the latest and greatest of the Mission Impossible franchise. We're going to be talking about Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, in parentheses, 8. We will go spoiler-free recommendations and scores, and then into a more spoiler-centric section with time codes in the description to allow you to jump around in both audio and video formats, if you so require. And with all that, I mean, I know I'm the resident Mission Impossible expert. I know this. We know this. Everybody knows this. I live and die by this franchise. But in the spirit of the IMF team, Jastin, what are your spoiler-free thoughts about this here? Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, parentheses, 8.
All right. Well, I would say that I felt like it was pretty good. It's pretty good. I wouldn't say that it's one of my favorite ones. I don't think it is for me.
I know this is putting you on the spot. Do you have a ranking of all 8?
Shoot, not of all 8. I'd have to think about that.
We'll come back to
I'm
that.
settling more and more on Fallout being my favorite one.
Fair.
It's Fallout, probably Fallout and Ghost Protocol. I really like those two, man.
Yeah, I've thought heavily about it. I've got like my definitive ranking. Like I don't even have to, at this point, like this is it for me. I was just curious with that. And maybe later in the podcast, I'll come back to you. Give you a little time to think it out. It's just something I thought of when you said that. I was like, what is Jastin's ranking? But then I was like, oh no, he probably hasn't thought about it like I have. Like this movie ended, I was already thinking about its place. So we'll come back to you on that. Sorry.
Where do I put it? But yeah, for me, I mean, you know, just off the cuff, my feelings about it, I would say probably if when I do make the list, I might be able to find maybe 3 or 4 that I think were better than this one. Well, my big problem with this movie is the first half of it. I think the second half of the movie is like, it's exhilarating, it's fun, it's like everything that you want in a Mission Impossible film. But the first half is like everything you didn't want this film to be.
Did you
kind
have
of
the
plotting?
same?
It's kind of slow. You got a lot of flashback and exposition dumping, and there's just one scene that is just an exposition like landfill. And I mean, there's so much exposition, man.
Did you have the same problem I did where the first half of the movie kind of like treats you like you're dumb and you've never seen a Mission Impossible movie?
Yeah. Like it does. Like it goes back and it's all these references and stuff, and like there's no action, there's no movement whatsoever. And there's this, like I said, there's this one scene that is really long and they are just talking. And I just kept expecting it to end and it just wouldn't. Like I just kept getting more stuff and I kept getting more exposition. And I'm not going to lie, man, that first half was tough to get through. But once the film then was done doing that, and then it got going and got to being the Mission Impossible we know and love, I thought it was great. You know, it really picks itself up in that second half, but that first half was just really, 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 really rough.
And to
As
add
far
to
as
that,
the performances, oh, go ahead.
well, just to add to that, does it not make it worse that this is damn near 3 hours? In the first half, which is technically a movie length within its own right, is that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like you get that one kind of that exciting scene at the beginning, and then it is dead for like a good what seemed like 45 to an hour before it picks back up, and then we're getting the mission, we're getting what we have to do, and then we're going and doing what this is really about. So it's just a tough first act, second act transition-ish. But we do eventually get there. And I mean, all the performances are good. I mean, pretty much all the familiar characters are back. I liked everyone in this. There's an excellent scene with Tom Cruise where he's underwater in a submarine having to retrieve some shit. And I really loved that scene. That was great. Just the visual effects, what was happening, the sense of urgency they put on it. I really loved what they did with that underwater scene. And then when we get to the end, and that final scene at the end is very good too. I mean, it was great. It looked great. It was really awesome action. Though some elements of it felt a little similar to Fallout to me. I kept thinking about Fallout. You know, we got this thing we got to get from the main villain, and we're trying to get it from him. You know, it has a similar beat, but visually it is done well. So, but overall, like I really, really enjoyed the second half. And then when it ends, I don't know about you guys, but nothing felt that final to me. Like, for all the talk about final and this could be the last one and all this culmination and bringing up all this stuff and the culmination of this and that and the everything like that, for all the stuff we did to lead up to this, to make it feel like it was really going to be this final sort of journey with these characters, at the end, it didn't really feel final at all. So then it had me kind of retroactively looking at the first half and going, why did we do all of that shit then if this wasn't even going to feel like a final thing? Like, then it made me just look at that even harder and go, why did that have to play out the way it did? So, yeah, this movie has its problems. It's not the perfect, it's not on the level of some of those like super perfect Mission Impossible, like damn near perfect Mission Impossibles that we've had. There are definitely better ones than this one. But, and even though it takes a while for this to take off, when it does fly, it really does soar. I just wish that it could have been more consistent than some of the earlier films that I do think are superior in quality to this one.
Heather, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think I kind of know what my ranking would be if we want to do that now, or if we're just doing that later, that's fine.
We'll give Jastin time to think. We'll do it all together.
Yeah, okay. So I would have to say that I pretty much agree on everything that you're saying with it, Jastin. Like, while it is a good movie, it's not my favorite Mission Impossible film. It's honestly not even a top 3 for me. That being said, though, it is still a pretty good film. Like, I get what you mean, Sterling, like just living and dying by these franchises. I mean, on any given day, you could be like, I want to watch a Mission Impossible movie. Anyone you pick, for the most part, and be like, okay, I'm down for it. Let's watch it. Um, yeah, I think that there were some parts in this for me that it kind of dragged. I do think that this had a little bit of a pacing problem with it. Some of it, yeah, dragged a little bit too long. And I also think that the tone of this felt a bit different than some of the other ones with this team, like where there's typically a little bit more humor in the mix, which I guess that does make you feel like the stakes of what's happening and what's about to happen in this movie. But with it being the final one, I just would have liked a little bit more of that lighthearted, funny moments between the team. Maybe that's just a personal preference for me, but I do also wish they would have like focused on developing the relationships with the existing characters a little bit more instead of just spending as much time as they did on the new people and the dynamic with them. Even though like I liked the characters that they added. I thought the characters they added were great, but it did take away from Ethan and our core team having that time together, I feel like. But like aside from those things, they had some really cool action scenes. There was some really cool callbacks to the other films, mostly the first one. A few sentimental moments that play to the heart of this film. Like the whole thing has always been, Ethan cares more about his team than he does about himself in these missions. And they really do play into that aspect of Ethan in this one quite a bit. I like the dynamics of the team that we do see together. And I really liked the growth of certain characters that you see, mostly like Benji and Paris. Angela Bassett as the president was great. They had some really fun appearances from other actors like Nick Offerman, Hannah Waddingham, and they're always great to see. I just think that they could have been utilized a little bit better in this film for the roles that they were. But it's always really good to see them in anything, so no complaints really that they were in it. Just wanted more of them. I do also, I know I mentioned there were some callbacks, but I would also be remiss if I didn't say that they had some callbacks that were unnecessary as well. There was a few, I don't know, I feel like there's a few little bits of storylines that they put in this that could have been removed altogether, or they could have just been shortened, and it would have probably made the movie a touch better. But it is still a good film with some really great moments. I think for me, that underwater scene that you were talking about, Jastin, I personally think that was a little too long. I feel like he was underwater for so long in this movie. That whole sequence was really long to me. I think they could have shortened that, but I get it. If you liked that part, you probably loved how long it was. But for me, I'm I probably could have done with a little bit less of that. There are a couple of story elements that I think we don't need. And I think it would be nice for some of it to with some of these new characters we get, maybe a little bit more time with them becoming new people on the team. That's always been a fun part of what these movies do, where you get funny moments of them trying to figure out the dynamics between them. And yeah, that would have been nice for a few of these characters, but mostly, yeah, my issue is you don't get Ethan with his core team as much as I think you should. He's off on his own, not necessarily completely on his own, but kind of on his own a lot in this. And with it being the final one, you just want more of that team thing in this one than they had. Granted, yes, they had team stuff happening in this, of course, the whole time, but not him with his team. So I just wish there was a little bit more of that. But overall, it's good. It's not great, but it's, of course, still a fun watch. Solid movie, fun watch in the theater.
This movie conflicts me so much. Because if it's the final Mission Impossible movie with Cruise as Ethan Hunt and all of those things, not gonna lie, I'm a little bit let down. like you said, Justin, what about this has any sort of finality to it? What about this is that final mission? What about this justifies spending half a fucking movie going, hey guys, do you remember the last 7? I hope you do, because we're going to tell you all about them right now. You know, there's just, why? This is the 8th fucking movie. We know what the fuck we're signing up for. Who the fuck is walking into Mission Impossible 8 going, no clue what the fuck this is? And if so, I guess cool for you, but that's weird. At least watch one. Watch something. You know? But this movie kind of treats you like you're an idiot. For like an hour and a half, just going, hey, you're so stupid. You can't possibly remember 7 other movies. That's impossible. That's more impossible than the things our agents are doing in the IMF. And then you get this movie, and for the most part, like you said, Jastin, the second half of it's pretty great. I think the biplane stunt at the end, whilst very reminiscent of Fallout, I get that, the 2 aerial things chasing each other and all this other stuff. I thought it was very good. Very, very good. And, you know, is probably, realistically speaking, one of your craziest stunts. Because Tom Cruise was actually climbing around on planes and shit.
Of course he was.
That man was climbing around on planes.
Which is wrong.
But also, like, you know, this might be a spoiler, I don't care, but like, have you ever needed a word to be said any less than the amount of times the word Podkova was said at the end of this movie? I've never heard a word for the first time and also heard it a million times and also hated how many times I've heard it all within the same hour and a half. It's a fucking hard drive. What's this Podkova bullshit? Why are they making up fucking random words? We need to get the Podkova. But when you get the Podkova, he's got the Podkova. What the fuck was that? It says, this movie says it so many times. It's absurd. You might as well have called this Mission Impossible Podkova Reckoning.
That's true.
But I mean, too much of this movie ends up being almost like Death by 1,000 small cuts. Because like I said, it's 3 hours movie. There is a good 45 minutes that can be cut out of this real quick. And some of it really is just 90 different scenes that are like 30 seconds long that you just don't need. And like I said, it's like death by all these small little things. And it's just not necessary. It really just kind of sucks because this franchise, which has been so solid for like 4 straight movies going into this, just almost not a single hiccup really. And then they get to this and it just kind of, for lack of a better phrase, limps across the finish line. And it just makes me wonder, like, why now? Why now did you choose to do those things? Yeah, there's lots of callbacks to stuff. And to me, there's only one of them that's really worth it. The one character that's like hunting him from the first movie, or from 7, that's in the IMF. And they're like, and this might be, I don't give a fuck. And they're like, oh, that's John Voight's son from the first one. Why? But why? Don't get me wrong. I like the first Mission Impossible as much as the next man. But why? But once again, like I said, it's 30 seconds to a minute for them to explain that. And I'm like, why?
Yeah, super random.
The most unnecessary of callbacks. Hey, do you remember the main villain of the first movie? This is his son.
In case you didn't, we're also going to show you flashbacks of that so that you know who we're talking about.
There was 2 flashbacks to the first movie that were worth it to me. And we'll get into that. It's not a bad movie. It is just, to me, one gigantic missed opportunity, though. This, to me, is one
That's
of
a
those.
good way to put it.
It's one of those movies that's just, it didn't live up to its potential. Wasn't bad, but not what it should have been. Recommendations and scores?
Yeah.
Yep.
Recommendations and score.
Heather, what you got?
Yeah, I do recommend it. It's still a good film. It might not be the best of the Mission Impossible movies, but it's still a good, solid action film. Yeah, it's got a good storyline. It's got, pretty good elements in action and things like that. Pacing is really my biggest issue, along with a couple of like tonal things I wish were a little different. But it is still good. It's still solid, and especially obviously if you're a fan of the Mission Impossible movies and you've seen the other ones, you definitely need to see how this finishes out. Yeah, so it's definitely a recommend for me. Again, it's good. It's not great. Missed opportunity is a really good way to put it, for sure. But yeah, even still, it's better than a lot of other action movies you'll see. I compare it to that. What was that one you were talking about? Like Havoc or something? Whatever that Tom Hardy movie was that came out. I just remember you talking about that, and then I did end up seeing that, and I'm like, comparing that to this, you're like, maybe this isn't a masterpiece of a movie, but so compared to a lot of just other action films, it's great. But as far as Mission Impossible movies, it's just good. So for that reason, though, I'm still going to give it 80 blinks of an eye out of 100.
You said 80?
Yep.
Jastin, what about you?
Yeah, I'm still going to recommend it as well. I mean, I think we're all just saying the same thing. It's not that this is a bad film. It's pretty well made. It's got some great action sequences. The acting is on point. It's just, you're just upset that it wasn't as good as some of the best movies in the series. And, when you're 8 movies in, you do expect some drop off somewhere. I mean, it's hard for every movie to be as good as some of the best ones when you're now 8 movies into this franchise. But still, being that all the talk about final and this being called the final reckoning and this possibly being the one of the last ones, or maybe the last one that they do, you just kind of, it had all the feelings of, oh, this is going to go out with a big bang and it's going to be memorable and it's going to be emotional. And it's just a little disappointing that we didn't quite hit that. And I don't know if they hyped it up or if we as fans hyped it up too much in our heads and made it something that it wasn't. And they're like, wait a minute, why did you expect something that we never promised you were really going to get? But it felt like something was going to be more epic than this.
Jastin, where I disagree with that statement is the last 4 movies are the promise you made to me.
We've just seen what it can be.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely there is that. But when you hear all that final talk, you just, it makes you think, oh, I wanted to feel that way. I want to feel like I walked out and I was like, man, dude, what a way to end this thing. And then you just kind of walk out going, Okay, well, I'm sure there'll be another one. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't.
Honestly, my first thought was there better be another one.
Yeah, like, surely we're not ending this way. You know, that's kind of the thought that you had. So, but I mean, it's all right. It's not bad. It's not a betrayal of Mission Impossible or anything like that. It's just that we've gotten some really, 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 really good ones, and you know, so after when you've risen to those heights, it feels like a little bit of a letdown to just have a good one. You know, because all the other ones before this, you could argue were really good. Like 4, 5, 6, and 7 were like hella good. And then this was just kind of like, all right. But yeah, and I was pretty much in the ballpark where you were, Heather. I had it at, sorry. Thought my phone was on silent. Well, it is definitely now. Sorry.
My bad. That text was from me.
Oh, was that you? Yeah, so we're gonna give it. I had it like at 81. 81. Head splitting good times on an airplane ride out of 100.
You guys are a little.
Sorry, it's coming from my computer. My bad.
I just listen. My phone's definitely on silent. Ding,
Ding. Then I'm like, crap. Yeah, I forget that the.
You told on yourself.
Didn't silence that.
That's on me. That's my bad, actually.
Oh man. Okay. I mean, you guys are a decent amount higher on this than me. Because like I said, I looked at this as the promise they had made to me for the last 4 movies. I mean, 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all great. And like you said, Jastin, maybe we're the ones that hyped it up with Final. But like you said, this is the final record. Final's in the title. And then you give me a movie that's, 4th in a series of 9. Not the 4th in this series, but I'm just saying a 4th movie in a 9. Just like it's there. It's not bad, but like there's a lot better than it. And it just, if this is the ending, God, this franchise goes out kind of on a whimper. Too much of this movie was just circle jerking its own franchise and all this other stuff. And then it just kind of has this really good, like some really good action set pieces, and it's done. But I'm just left with like this hole going, this can't be it. This can't be how this ends. I know this is the 8th movie, but like you're practically doing the 8th season of Game of Thrones to me. Maybe things shouldn't end in 8s. Maybe ending on 8s is the worst thing you can do. It's just nothing's ending good on 8.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, don't judge me for this, but like my best comparison is just like the Fast and Furious movies. At least that stretch of like, what was it, 3 or 4 movies that were actually pretty good. Like after a minute, and I think after 7 or 8 is when it started to get like rough again.
9's when it gets rough.
Yes, 9 is when it gets rough. But like there was a stretch where you're like, okay, I actually didn't think these were ever going to be good or better than they were. And they actually stepped up their game a lot after they changed up like who some of the characters were when they brought The Rock in and all that stuff. But like just in general, and like that 7th movie for sure was like, that 7th movie, which also was more sentimental, was so good. But yeah, that's the best comparison that I can make as far as later movies being better, but then going out with a whimper.
But it's not even done yet. It's also not even done yet.
True.
But also, this one starts better. Mission Impossible 1 is
That's- yeah.
better than the first 3 movies of that. I mean,
Yeah.
and also the heights that Mission Impossible reaches in quality is, even though I'm a huge Fast and Furious apologist, the heights that this reaches is so much higher too. It's just, I don't know. I don't know what I expected from this movie. But you also played it like it's an end. It's like, hey guys, look at all the memories we've shared over the last 7 movies. All right, let's go in this now, man. We had a good run. Let's go. So you set it up like it's an end. You spend half a movie recapping 7 movies. You didn't do that in the last one. So to me, this is almost a final thing. Now, I will say this, part of it could be because 7 and the way 8's projected will have both lost an absurd amount of money. An absurd amount of money. This has to become the highest grossing Mission Impossible movie for it not to lose money. Now, part of it is because both of those movies were shot during, a substantial amount of both of them was also shot during COVID. During COVID. I'm not talking about like, oh, just doing some COVID restrictions. No. During COVID. And then on top of that, they shut down the film, like, because too many people got COVID at one point. They shut down for 3 months. Kept paying everybody for 3 months. You know? Also, because of all that stuff, this movie ended up finishing filming after the writer's strike. So the writer's strike delayed it. Also, this movie has been in production for so long. And it just kind of, it ballooned the budget. I think the budget on this is $400 million. And so much of it was not,
God.
yeah, so much of it's not shit you saw on screen. The budget on the first one, or on the 7th one, ended up being 500 because that was all COVID production. Yeah. So they are going to lose so much money on these last 2, no matter what. Even though the $77 million that this opened with is the most of any Mission Impossible movie. People have weird ideas when it comes to these franchises. They are not billion-dollar franchises or movies. These movies are like, honestly, you get like 400 or 500 million, you're good. They're also not horribly expensive because Tom Cruise just does so much of it himself. You know, but it's those types of things. It just weirdly, these budgets are explosive though on these. So yeah. So even if they wanted to, I just don't think they are going to do another one. I think they will have lost so much money on 7 and 8. I just don't realistically see them releasing another one. I think they were like, hey, we're doing 8 just because they'd filmed half the movie already. So, I don't know. I'm going to give this movie a 70. 70 Padkovas. A word I'd never heard before the day I watched this movie. Out of 100. CineScores is a 77. Spoilers?
Yep.
Spoilers.
Okay, according to all the text messages that Jastin was dinging, we should be good to do a ranking real quick. Heather, go ahead and start yours. What's your rank?
All right. My ranking, and Ghost Protocol and Fallout are interchangeable depending on the day, to be honest, as favorite.
Nope.
But
definitive.
all right, for the sake of this ranking, Ghost Protocol is first. Fallout. Then for me, it's Rogue Nation. Then it is Dead Reckoning, right? That's the last movie, Dead Reckoning. The first Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning, then 2, then 3. And like for me, it's hard because the first Mission Impossible, that's actually on my list of essential movies because I loved the first Mission Impossible. So it's kind of like, it's like this. It was the first time it was done. It was new. It was fresh. It was just this really interesting concept for a movie. And it was in like 96, I think. So yeah, it was just so long ago, but it just, even like watching it more recently, maybe a couple of years ago, like it still holds up. It's still a good movie. So I have like a soft spot for that one because it's just, yeah, I think it's just such a great movie that has held up really well. But I can't lie. Like, I think the only reason that I'm putting, like the other, like not Rogue Nation, but Dead Reckoning above it is because Simon Pegg. Like Simon Pegg being in these movies really just makes these movies that much better. So that's really kind of the only reason that edges out the first Mission Impossible for me. But yeah, I think that's my official ranking.
Jastin, what about you?
All right. So it's funny because I have some in similar places, but flipped. So for me, the number one of all of them, I think, is Fallout. I still feel that way, even and I didn't feel that way until I rewatched them last year, or at least, or maybe a couple of years ago, whenever we were doing Dead Reckoning. I had rewatched them all. And at first I always had Ghost Protocol at the top. I had it at the top for a long time. But when I watched them through back to back that second time, there was just something about Fallout, man. Like the stunt work I thought was peak in that. The fighting and the free fall, the stuff with Henry Cavill I thought was great. The back and forth with him, the mission that they were on and what they were trying to do, and I just liked all the characters that were involved, and that to me feels like the most, like, as far as pacing, the smoothest. It had great car chases. It had, it just felt like they were cooking on all cylinders with that movie. So I still feel like that's that's probably the overall best one. Barely edging out Ghost Protocol, which is my second favorite one. Again, that's a movie that I think it's like an almost perfect Mission Impossible. Like, it's one of those that I think that could be argued as the best one, I think that's the one that's debatable with that. Then third, and this one kind of flew up on my rankings that I had before, but I really liked Dead Reckoning. I really liked the one before this. I liked the introduction of Grace. I liked all of that, the pickpocketing stuff and the back and forth with that. I thought that it's very funny. I thought that it had a lot of good humor in it. I liked the introduction of Entity and Gabriel and all of that. I liked some of the new characters. I really think that Dead Reckoning is one of the better Mission Impossibles. And then, of course, Rogue Nation. Like, it's really hard. That like 4, 5, 6, and 7. I mean, it's really hard to just perfectly rank them. But Rogue Nation is probably fourth of what I think are the top 4 of this franchise. And you had Mission Impossible 3 really low. I guess I have it higher than you because I have 3 just after Rogue Nation. And I guess my reasoning for that is, and some of this might be recency bias, because when you watch part 3 after watching part 2, it's just so much better
And
then
to be fair, I mixed up mine. I said 2 and then 3. It's actually 3 then 2. 2 is the lowest. I just mix them up with how I order them, but 2 is definitely lowest.
Oh, okay.
But still, it's still MI3 is still second lowest to me. So proceed.
Okay, got you. And I guess maybe I just have a soft spot for 3. Like I said, first of all, it could just be because I watched it right after I watched 2. But another reason, though, is that I really think that Mission 3 was really the start of this series understanding its identity and what it needed to be and the tone that the movies need to have and the kind of sense of urgency and that seriousness that it brought to Mission Impossible. They hadn't perfected the formula, but I really think 3 is significant for really getting the series back on track. So I feel like, especially coming off of Mission Impossible 2, and I always think about that opening scene in part 3 with Philip Seymour Hoffman, and Cruise is tied up and his wife's at gunpoint and he's telling him, I need to get this info or she's dead. I'm going to pull the trigger. And it was so intense. And to open with that after coming off of what was just a terrible Mission Impossible 2, where they tried to experiment with John Woo directing and that didn't work out. I really think Mission Impossible 3 was really the start of this series getting right. So I have a soft spot for it. I rank it a little higher than some of the others. Then after that one, I have Mission Impossible 1. And then this one that we watch, Final Reckoning, is just above Mission Impossible 2. And I don't know if that's fair or not, but yeah, that's where I have Final. Like, it's my 7th favorite movie, under 1 and 3, which I think are just a little more significant and iconic to the series. So that's where it rounded out for me.
Like, the fact that this is, what'd you give this? You gave this a B, right? Like, the fact that your like 7th like film in the series is still a B film, like, I think it just says more about the series of movies as a whole than anything else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because Mission 2 is probably the only one that would be below a B. I think all the rest of them are a B or higher-ish. You know what I'm saying?
And that's because Mission Impossible 2 is not a bad Mission Impossible movie. It's a bad movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that's just what it boils down to.
Yeah, just plain and simple.
Yeah, for me, I mean, we're all kind of roughly in the same spot. I am a Ghost Protocol number 1 with Fallout number 2. 3 for me is Rogue Nation. This is where I guess I drastically different, maybe a little bit than some of you guys. I put Mission Impossible 1 at 4. The way it starts, it really kind of, to me, sets everything up. You know what I mean? That's your Ethan Hunt. That's your Luther. That starts it. You know, then I'll go Dead Reckoning right after that. Then I will go with this one, Final Reckoning. Then I go 3, and then I go 2. I get what you're saying, Jastin, but to me, 3's just, it's the low side of Mission Impossible to me. To me, it's just not it's fine. It's just, it's, as far as Mission Impossible movies go, to me, it's like a fine Mission Impossible movie. But that's why it ends up just being on the low side. Whereas, like I said, 2 is just a bad movie. It doesn't matter if it's final, if it doesn't matter if it's Mission Impossible. It doesn't matter if it's just, Long Hair Motorbike, directed by John Woo. It's a bad movie. Just every conceivable part of it is just horrendous.
Yeah, I think so you and I had almost similar lists, except you put MI1 before Dead Reckoning and I didn't. But I agree, though. Rogue Nation, and also I got to say, I love Jeremy Renner in that. I think he's great in that. in Rogue Nation. Is that the one he's in?
He's in Ghost Protocol.
Is it Protocol? Whatever one he's in. Sorry. I loved his character because I think that actually was one of the first things that I might have actually seen him in. And I don't know what it was. I was just like, he's a very compelling actor. Like, I just really liked his performance in that movie. So that alone also is why that one, even if he wasn't in it, would be up there. But yeah, I think
he was supposed to take over for Tom Cruise. That was supposed to be the transition movie. It didn't happen because that movie made money. And they went, oh, never mind. It's fine. And they went, just right along. But I do think it's funny that, like, yes, all of our top movies, though, are still pretty much the last ones. And that's why, to me, this one hurts so much.
Oh, wait, Jeremy Renner's in 2 of them.
Yeah, but he starts in Ghost Protocol.
No, he starts in Rogue Nation. Which one came first?
Ghost Protocol 4.
Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. I, for some reason, thought Rogue Nation came before Ghost Protocol. Yes. Correct. Sorry. But
No, Ghost Protocol's 4, Rogue Nation is 5, Fallout is 6.
That's right. Sorry. I was mixing up the order when they came out, but yes. Go ahead. Sorry.
There was a lot of talks that he might come back for this one. There's lots of talks. A lot of people were supposed to come back for this one. Some of the people that did come back, not the ones you expecting. Don't necessarily. Oh, we're in spoilers now. So to me, the craziest little thing was, I don't hate this. I actually thought it worked pretty well, and it's the only callback directly to one of them that I'm fine with. And that's what's his name? Rolf Saxon. He played William Donlow. Donlow. I thought that was actually a fantastic callback. That's like the one callback I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. I can get behind that.
Yeah.
Because it's one of the most iconic parts of Mission Impossible 1. It's the knife drop. It's this, and he has the knife still. And, I liked that it was this like little thing of like, yeah, they sent me to the Arctic. It's all cool though. Met my wife. I'm actually pretty happy. We're also, weirdly enough, guy looks better 30 years later.
I literally thought that too. I was like, that's the same guy.
Also, crazy. That guy is 70.
That's crazy talk.
Yes.
Wow.
That man is 70. I was surprised as fuck.
He's my new hero. That guy, good on him.
I thought that was good. I mean, you had some little callbacks to some of the stuff, like Angela Bassett. She is CIA director in 6. And, you get Carrie Ewell's. You get another little cameo of him as the guy that comes and wipes out the Arctic station. But like, I want to get into it. Death by 1,000 Cuts. While cinematically, the fight with the Russians and the team was fine, it's a good little action set piece. It's fine. What the fuck did that have to do with anything narratively, though, in the end? Those Russians fuck off to the submarine and it's nothing for the rest of the movie. Nick Offerman. Why did you have to have that scene of him going and getting a gun? That really doesn't matter. He could have just had the gun and shoot the thing. But also, why did you need that? Why did you need that to be the distraction scene? To delay them to where they couldn't do it. You don't need everything to be that.
Yeah, that confused me because I was like, are they trying to say that Nick Offerman is about to be shady with something? Like, I just didn't know what the purpose of it was until a little bit later.
I think his plan was to shoot the president. But because somebody else wanted to shoot the president, he's like, no, it has to be me.
Got it. Okay, see, and I still didn't get that, which I'm sorry that I missed that. But
because it's not necessary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's not really a throughput aspect of it when it comes to the plot. It's not like Nick Offerman's been there for 6 movies, and so you kind of have an in general idea of what his character is. I can't tell you what the purpose of him getting a gun is, because up until that point, he'd been in the movie for about 3 minutes.
Yep.
We were 2 hours into the movie. He'd been in it for 3. I don't know who the fuck his character is. I just know that's Nick Offerman without a mustache. That's the only thing I know. So I can't tell you the purpose of him taking that gun. I can speculate, because why else? Because, like, what else could it be? But there's nothing definitive with it.
Yeah.
Because there's 97 new characters in this movie, and 93 of them are barely in the movie. But fuck, they made sure they added them all.
It's just such a waste of great talent, too, where you could have used them for something great. Like, Nick Offerman is fantastic as an actor, and you could have used him in a really good way. And you give him 5 minutes of screen time where half of it you're confused what he's doing. It makes me sad. Like, why do we do that?
Wouldn't this have been the perfect movie to strip it all back? Have the team do what they've done for the last 8 movies. Have them go rogue. But they didn't go rogue in this. The president went. The president said it was okay. That's not going rogue.
Yeah.
Why do you wait till the 8th movie to not go rogue? What is this? The one time he decides to get permission for shit? The fuck is this? I don't know. This is Mission Fairly Possible. I mean, while it's a good fight sequence, I didn't need the fight sequence on the submarine. Visually, it's fantastic. Narratively, what the fuck is this? I know that the whole point of it was to be like, oh man, the entity could have affected anybody. Okay, I guess. That's not enough of an actual plot point to really matter. They just keep telling us that. But, like, what good is the entity getting one soldier here and one guy there? Oh, so scary. I get that, like, it's also taking over nuclear bases and shit, but, like, when it's like, oh, it can infect the mind of people. Man, it shows 2. Like 3 or like 5 if you count the people on the news. 5. There's, 8.2 billion people in the world? It's affected 5. Ain't that scary? Like, it'd be different if it was more people. If, like, all of a sudden, right when they're about to do something, if, like, 30 of the people in that bunker all of a sudden just start rioting, trying to stop the president on behalf of the enemy, that would actually matter. Because it's like, there's only, like, 50 people, and they're all secure, and it's all this, and it's all been vetted, and 30 people all of a sudden are out. You know what I mean? That would be different. Or if it was like the captain of the sub. Not sub bitch number 5. You know what I mean? Those things I think would matter. Or if it was people we knew. What if it was like Kittredge? Like if he went that route. Stuff like that. Those are the times that would have mattered. Not random fucking people. Like I said, it's only just a couple. Also, I don't know. Maybe you guys might feel differently about this, but that the entity sarcophagus, when he talks to it, I could not have possibly cared any less about that entire scene. Because they did that just to weirdly show the flashes of shit that happens in the movie later. How did the entity, I don't care how many probabilities you're like combing through and all this other stuff, you're not going to land on he's going to be half naked in the Arctic water floating towards the surface. That's not one you stop on. That's not the one you go, that one's it. I get that it's one of the possibilities, but it's not the one you land on. And I get it. It's that predictive. If it can predict that, it would have predicted everything else. They would have lost. Also, there's a scene where Haley Atwell's character is trying to have a conversation with an Inuit woman and like to how to like drive the sled. Why? That scene is a good minute and a half, 2 minutes long. And like I said, this is death by 1,000 cuts. It's a bunch of short scenes that are unnecessary. They just add to the bulk and bloat of this movie. Why? What does that matter? They didn't even show her driving the sled later in the movie having a problem or something. You know what I mean? Like, they have that scene.
Yeah, there was no sled chase or nothing.
And then the next scene is them just setting up base camp. It's just done. For all I know, the little Inuit woman could have done that the whole. She could have done the sled. It doesn't change anything. So why? Also, guys, if you're an IMF agent, or at least a former IMF agent, right? You're like the elite of the spy world. You were the evil reciprocal to Ethan Hunt, right? Would you be tricked by a fake poison pill?
True.
I mean, that was obviously a gimmick, right? Like, you know what I mean? I get we're audience member, but you were supposed to be the anti-him in Gabriel. Wouldn't you have just known? Ethan Hunt ain't doing that shit. Why was he tricked by it? And also, come on, this is Mission. Why are you leaning back? Why didn't they show us him doing the carnage? Because you look at Haley Atwell's face and she's like, why didn't we see that?
That was kind of an awkward scene too, where he's like, "Oh yeah, like it's fine because they were gonna kill you, right?" And she's just like really standoffish about it, and I'm like, "Why is this a thing we're standoffish about with him this far into the movies?" Like, it was just a very weirdly awkward scene. You know what I mean?
But then they have that weird hyperbolic sex scene that's not a sex scene later in the movie. What was that for? Like, he's in the hyperbaric chamber. She's just rubbing on him. But it's a hyperbaric chamber. Why the fuck are you in there with him?
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, oh, you can be in there with him?
Why are you putting your body under that scenario? Yes, you can be in a hyperbaric chamber. A lot of athletes use it. There's benefits for it. You know, all these things. But like, but why? Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Like I said, that's one of my biggest problems. Is it's just so many scenes of just little nonsense bullshits. For so much of this, why did they go down the list of the Ethan Hunt greatest achievements?
I think that's the scene you were talking about, Jastin, right? The exposition scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just literally read the IMDb synopsis for each movie just in order. Just reading this shit.
Was this really you? A man on the brink who goes rogue to do the... Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
they might as well have done that. Yeah.
It looks like after that, you initiated Ghost Protocol and you did this. And then right after that, you went after the Rogue Nation.
In a high action impact sort of way.
And then through the fallout of all of it, you went up against a rogue CIA agent. Like, what the fuck was that scene? Just for them to go, and then you gassed all of us. And the other guy was like, yeah, I was there. It was like 2 months ago. You're like, hey, how the fuck did Ethan Hunt's hair grow that fast in 2 months? His hair is so much longer than it was in Dead Reckoning. I get that's a weird nitpicky point, but that is a very important thing when it comes to Mission Impossible movies. You can almost identify every Mission Impossible movie just based on the hair.
That's true. And that is something I just notice in general when it's like there's time gaps and stuff, and you're like, why is your hair easily 8 inches longer than it was 2 months ago? It doesn't make sense to me.
Also, one of his worst hairs. One of his worst.
What's his best hair?
Unfortunately, it's 2.
It's 2. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Worst movie, best hair.
Yeah, it's got to be 2.
But that's one. That's why Ghost Protocol gets tops for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because great
It
movie,
brings
but
back that hair.
second best hair.
Yeah, because it's similar.
It's
yeah.
not quite as good as 2, but very good. Yeah, that's why Ghost Protocol gets just that notch above.
That's fair.
The hair points. Very serious about my Mission Impossibles. But it's just one of those things that, and all of that culminates in a movie. For weeks, I have been saying, I have never been more sure of someone dying in a movie than this. And they bitch out at the end. Come on. Why couldn't he have just died? It would have been a little better if he died. It would have been a little better if he sacrificed himself in the end.
Because we got more movies to make, Sterling.
Maybe.
Now you can have Resurrection Protocol or some shit.
Man, they're not going to do that, Jastin. They're going to reboot this shit before they do that again.
Well, he said he wanted to keep making movies.
Well, yeah, but he's got that deal with like that one other company where he's got like 3 or 4 movies he's got to do with them because he's going to outer space.
Oh.
Yeah. I can't believe he's going to outer space for a movie and it's not a Mission Impossible one. God. The insult to injury. But I mean, I will say this. I really dug that fight, the fight on the plains. Oh, when he broke Gabriel's arm. Vicious.
Yeah, that was tight.
Loved it. And that whole thing. And for a movie that was really, like you said, Heather, really lacked in the humor realm that Mission Impossible movies typically do a very good job of getting to. That was also a funny fucking death. When he's like, haha, I've got a parachute. Oh, I'm leaving. Oh, I'm falling out. Just head. That was fucking great. That's probably one of my favorite ways he's killed a villain. Because he also didn't mean to do that. Like, that was pure happenstance. But it was really cool.
Yeah, that was great.
I mean, also, why did Luther have his message blow up? That's very weird to me. Sentimental message to your best friend, and you're like, it's gonna self-destruct.
Yeah, you can't keep this for a keepsake for your poor dear dead friend. With his words of wisdom.
Quick question. If you had a very fragile, fictional 5-dimensional drive that had an all-encompassing AI that could destroy the world on it, would you just keep it, or would you just destroy the fuck out of it? Because I'm real confused as to why they didn't just destroy that thing immediately.
Yeah, I thought that was the whole point.
And then it's just there at the end of the movie.
He's just there. And see, they just felt a little too like, okay, he's got all power of the universe. It's just weird.
It ends like every other Mission Impossible movie. It just ends like everybody just like looking at each other. Till we meet again. I just don't get why.
Yeah, you get zero funny Simon Pegg in this. Makes me sad. Real sad. So I love that man. And he's a great, like, serious actor too, but Like that, like funny dynamic that he brings was really lacking here, and it's a bummer.
Oh, so Heather just sent us a picture of all the Mission Impossible hairs.
3 is 100% the worst, in my opinion.
3?
Yeah.
No.
Let me see.
No, it's 8.
Is it?
8 is easily the worst hair.
I don't know. I think 3 is the worst.
So if you look at this picture, it shows us Mission Impossible 7 and 8 right next to each other. And that is supposed to be 2 months apart.
Yeah.
He grows like 9 inches of hair.
I mean, here's
See,
another
one's
different hair.
still such a classic look.
Yeah, that one's a pretty good one because it is very classic of the time hair.
Seeing the one you just sent us, 5 doesn't look good in that one.
I know, and that's why I was like, I don't want to do that picture because it's not a good representation.
See, the first picture you sent us 5 is good, but that second one you sent 5's a mess.
Yeah. But also, if you look at the one in the second picture, the 3 from Mission Impossible 3.
That weirdly, randomly out of nowhere, he gets Clooney bangs.
Yeah, that's what got me. But
You remember that time when everybody was doing that Julius Caesar haircut?
yeah,
Wild.
what was going on? What was going on in
It was
the
Clooney.
world?
It was Clooney that started all that.
But the thing, and I understand that, but I don't even think that was good on Clooney.
Clooney's the only one that pulled it off.
He looked the best with it. I will say
Yeah.
that, but it's just a bad one, you know?
Everyone else looked like a kid that had the worst time at supercuts. And I'm saying
Yeah.
that as somebody who had a bowl cut for well over a decade. I know that's really easy to not understand considering the look I've had for 21 years now. But I weirdly enough looked more like a penis when I was younger.
I mean, I had the 90s bangs up until I graduated. No, not. Yeah, actually up till my senior year of high school, probably. Maybe
You
my
went well
my
into the
junior-
aughts with 90s bangs?
What'd you say?
You went well into the aughts with 90s bangs? That's
Yeah,
gross.
it wasn't senior year, but I think it was like sophomore year, maybe junior year is when I started not doing bangs.
That's gross.
It was. You're right. And then I learned the error of my ways.
What about you, Jastin? You have any hair tragedies?
Can't say that I have.
Fair enough.
Well, aren't you just the most blessed man in the world? No hair problems, no bad rolls. Your life is wonderful.
I guess so. I mean, I did, if you could believe this, I did have an afro back in high school, but I decided to cut it off because I just didn't like all the maintenance. It was too tiring, just taking care of it, all the combing and
upkeep.
brushing and all of that stuff. It's a lot of work, man.
It's not
That's what it was with
I
bangs
just started
too.
cutting it low.
it's not full on afro or anything, but like, yeah, I get it. Like, it's a lot of maintenance when you, especially like the longer you grow it out, especially stuff like that. Like, it's just a lot of maintenance. But you've been bald or pretty close to bald almost the same amount of time I have.
Yeah. Yeah. I just started cutting it. Really, it was what they call a bald fade look, which was a little bit of hair, but I mean, practically you're bald, but it just sort of fades down on the back of your head. And I got that, and I was having that cut for the longest time. When I met you, that was the cut I was getting. And I remember one time, our boss, Liddy, one time he just said, like, why spend your money on that cut? Why don't you just cut it bald, man? I mean, you don't have much hair anyway. You might as well just rock the bald look, man. You wouldn't look much different, and you would save a ton of money. You could just cut it yourself and stop
Is that
paying
what
the
started your
barber
bald?
every week. And it made too much sense. So I tried it once and never looked back. I was like, you know what? There's not a whole lot of difference. I don't even think anyone noticed. Like,
Dude, your hair has always been so short. You just had like the essence of edges. Like that was it. It was just like this hint of an edge and just like the most faint of hair.
yeah.
Like it just looked
So-
kind of like a shadow on your head a little bit.
So like, I don't think anybody even noticed when I changed it. It wasn't like I walked in and people were like, "Oh, you." No, I don't even think anybody noticed. Like,
I mean, does that offend you, or are you okay with that? Like that they just didn't notice?
Oh,
no, I think I was good with it. My fear was they would notice and
it'd be bad.
Make a big deal.
yeah, it'd be bad. But when nobody made a big deal, I was like, huh, I guess this is okay.
'Cause it really
and
is,
I'll be
like-
saving my money.
I mean, I haven't shaved my head in like a week. And so I've just got the little bit of grow out. And Jastin's hair was actually just like a tad shorter than that. Like a bald fade is just a tad shorter than like a week's worth of growth on me.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's the same reason why, like, yeah, I notice whenever I cut my hair from this to, back to clean. No one else notices. You know what I mean? Nobody else is gonna be like, "Oh, you cut your hair." Like whenever it really is that. Like no one's gonna notice.
And I think that's the difference too. Like, I think depending on, like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes I've gotten haircuts and like I was actually offended that nobody noticed. I was like, what do you mean? I just cut so much of my hair. But it just depends on what like your purpose is for the haircut, probably.
The last time I got a major beard haircut for like 3 weeks, I was just mad at the world because no one noticed. And I'm like, this is several inches shorter. And I get that like it's more noticeable to me, but like it's my face. Like you look at my face all the time. So
Yeah.
when I lose 3 inches of hair on my face, like, and you can actually see my neck, I'm like, that's a drastically different look, people. I look like a groomed mountain man instead of just a mountain man. And no one noticed. I was just angry, just stewing, like, because it was mind-boggling to me. Because I'm looking at it going, oh no, I went too short. I practically don't have a beard now. No, like nobody's gonna it's gonna freak people out. Nobody's seen me with just such short facial hair and so long. No one noticed.
That can be the worst. Yeah. I'm sorry. Do you guys remember when, like, I think it was the early 2000s when girls were doing like short hair and then like it was flipped out on the ends and like it was weird flipped outs, but it was like short hair. I did that look for a little bit and I regret it because I was like, that's not my best look. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just regret it, but yeah, like I think that's probably the shortest I've ever had my hair. And I was like, cool, it's with the times, it's like this new, like it's the new style or whatever. And I did not like short hair. I just did not like it.
Yeah, some women can rock it though. Some can. I've seen some with the short hair and I didn't think I'd like it, but they
make it work.
Yeah, they make it work.
I'm not one of those women and I can admit that fully, but there are some people who make it work and I'm just like, good for you.
And it's just weird because on other people, it just doesn't look right. Or like me, like if I feel like somebody asks, have you ever just thought about just shaving everything here and just having a clean face? And they say, you probably look younger. And I think I would look weird. I don't want to not shave my facial hair.
Oh, I get it.
I think it would look weird. I'm too afraid to shave it off.
I mean, I imagine facial hair for guys being very similar to like when girls want long hair, you know what I mean? And it's just like a security blanket of like, no, I need it long. Or even like I've heard people say like facial hair or beards are like makeup for men. Or whatever. I don't know if that's true, but just the security blanket of like, no, like I just like something on your face. Like I like something here like that covers my face or frames my face or whatever. So I get that.
I mean, I haven't seen my upper lip in decades. I think the last time I legitimately remember seeing my upper lip was boot camp. I can't do that. Like, I haven't seen my cheeks, like my actual cheeks, in so long. I can't risk it. What if I have weird cheeks now, and I just didn't know it? I can't.
And
do
the thing
that.
is, because you haven't like had a clean shaven face in so long, even if it doesn't look weird, it's always going to feel like it looks weird because you're just not used to it. You know what I mean?
And I would look more like a penis. So much of my life has been spent looking like various stages of a penis. This at least helps a little bit. Do you guys remember Kim Possible, Rufus the Naked Mole Rat? I'd look like that. I would look like a worm person. Like
I'm afraid of that too.
Like, what is it?
Like,
Snapchat does like that. Oh, removes your beard filters. Those work for people that don't have a long beard. Because when I do it, I legit look like a worm person on that. Because it thinks this is like hair, like short hair on like a long face. So it gives me the largest double chin ever. Like one that you would be concerned medically. Because you're like, oh no, that's throat cancer. You have just a tumor growing on your neck. Your neck is 90% tumor. That's what it does to me. Because it just doesn't know what to do. So it just makes all of this like long part of my beard flesh. And it's very off-putting.
That is a flawed design in the filter they have.
It's because it's meant for normal people that have like a little beard. Or
maybe I could get on there. Maybe it would look accurate on me, but
yeah,
I just don't think I would look right. People are like, no, you wouldn't look bad. You probably just look younger, but I don't know. I like my goatee and beard and stuff. I like.
You've had that for a very long time too.
Have you ever known him when he didn't have it?
I don't think so. I'm trying to think if I remember you not having that. Not that I can remember.
Yeah. And it's funny because people will post pictures from like years ago or memories and stuff. And they always go, you look the exact same, Jastin. So it's funny. Like, but I just don't. I don't change it. Now, hair everywhere else, I despise. Like, I don't like having any back hair, arm hair, leg hair. I'm clean everywhere else.
That's the wrestler in you.
Yeah, I think so. Now it's like a habit. Like, I have to be clean everywhere else. I don't want hair nowhere.
I don't have that problem.
So I have to have like special razors and stuff, you know, to get the undercarriage and whatnot. What do they call it? The gooch, or what is it called? The taint. The taint.
Both technically.
What is it? Or is gooch woman and taint guy, or is it?
No, I think it's both.
Oh, they're
the same
both
thing.
guy.
I think you're just talking about the same thing on any gender.
Oh, that's intersex?
Yes.
So a girl has a taint too?
Yes.
Okay.
I just like the progression of undercarriage to taint in like 2 seconds.
You know, this was still technically on topic with the Tom Cruise hair and how important it is to the Mission Impossible franchise.
Yes. Sorry to derail.
And now it is off the rails.
Is it?
We're now the train at the end of Dead Reckoning.
Oh, well, my bad for all the tank talk.
Typically, it's me that goes too far. How am I the one reeling us in?
My bad, bro. You brought it up. You can't blame me. You know how I am. Once anything is brought up.
Just the way you said that makes it sound like I would Justin. Do you trim your taint hair?
Yeah, it's not like you went, who shaves their taint? But what I mean is you brought up the hair thing. So you started it. I finished it, brother.
You did.
Yeah. You just had to finish it strong.
That cannot not be said. Jastin, you finished it.
And I just haven't used those words in a long time, so I'm just a little rusty on them. I mean, who says that ever? Like, oh, my taint. That's not a casual conversation word.
It's not. No, I agree. Even for me. And I rarely hold back, and I agree, Jastin, that is not a commonly used word.
Yeah, but thank you for clarifying that for me.
No problem. In fact, I'll ask around. We'll get a more definitive answer just in case for next week.
We'll do a survey.
Yeah, we'll do an online survey. Sounds good.
Surprised you didn't call it a chode.
A chode.
Yeah.
Then that's the same definition?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's weirdly a lot of words that describe that area. I don't know why. But for this, we just get fingers or fingies. I guess digits or phalanges. But anyway, Mission Impossible 8.
Yes, please.
I guess I don't even know what to fucking say anymore.
Did I discombobulate you?
You did. I am the most uncombobulated one could be. If I can
what
just
was that thing called again? Did I do to you what they did to the entity?
You used the poison pill on my Patkova?
The poison pill.
But also weirdly enough, with the Padkova, it weirdly had a weird interface on it that's not normal. I'm so glad Luther knew exactly what kind of interface it had for whenever he made the poison pill. Oh man. Anyway, yeah, the first part of the movie is just so many little things over and over and over again that you just don't need. And by the time this movie starts picking up, it works really well, but it takes so long to get there. And unfortunately, when you're in a long movie, it really wears down on you a little bit when it's all said and done. And I just find that choice very weird, considering by all normal criteria, this knowingly being probably our last Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movie. This is what we get with it because of those weird choices. And the sad thing is this is the same director from Dead Reckoning. This is the producing partner of Tom Cruise's that has done most of these movies. Produced, you know what I mean? They're producing partners. I just don't know why him and Cruise decided to go that route with this movie. It's just a weird way to really throw this in with that. Especially with everything you've done in the 4 movies leading up to this. And these are the choices you make with it. Jastin, what about you? What do you got?
Yeah, I mean, I get some of that sentiment because, like, you felt like, and what's strange is the last movie, Dead Reckoning, just didn't have anything like that. So it was weird because I thought the original idea was it was going to be Dead Reckoning Part 1 and Dead Reckoning Part 2. So to throw that in the back half, I guess, of this whole thing, because really the entity is two movies. So to throw all of that in the back half of this just
And
feels
Gabriel.
weird.
And Gabriel.
Oh, yeah, Gabriel. Yeah. Yeah. And Gabriel. So back having all of that felt weird. And it almost, and I maybe would have forgiven some of it if maybe it ended in a more fun, in a way that felt like more final, had more finality to it. I might have forgiven some of that because then it sort of justifies going to the trip down memory lane, because then they really want you to feel something emotional at the end. But them all kind of standing there confirming that each other is alive and we love each other and we like each other and we're a team and yeah, we did it. And then walking off kind of into the shadows, into the mix of people, that does feel like a Mission Impossible ending, but just not a final one. You know, you just wanted something more emotional. And I'm surprised at the end. And then it just kind of ends. And even the ending credits and everything was pretty pedestrian. You know, you would think if this was a goodbye, I would see Tom Cruise and the rest of the crew, or maybe everybody that's ever been in these that's still alive and did them all, would come on screen and take a bow or something. I don't know. I just needed something. Or maybe in the ending credits, it's going through all the movies and showing the best scenes from them and different things like that, and showing all these cool moments from all of these different movies. I wouldn't have minded seeing that, and I would have even gotten some MI2 clips. And you know what? I wouldn't have minded seeing them. Him turning around on that motorcycle and looking all cool and shit. I almost would have forgave it.
What if when he walked out of that hallway and we had like 9 doves fly in front of him in that secret military compound? John Woo was crazy.
Yeah, he was. He was, dog. That was a crazy movie. But all of that at the end felt so pedestrian. And so then it's like, well, man, why do we have to take all that big long? And then why was it so like all packed together into that one section in the first half of the movie? That was another thing that was weird. It's just all of the president and all of them running down all these events and all of these things, and they're talking about it. And it just lasted so long. It was just such an awkward scene. You needed something to break that up. It was just too much to pour on at one time. You needed to break that up somehow, whether it's through some of that could have happened when Ethan got into the machine, and, you know, he could have saw some old shit and it led to new visions of shit. You know, like, you just needed a way to split all that shit up, man. And I just think that was, and maybe the idea was, let's get it out of the way so we don't have to do it later. But just armchair quarterbacking it just didn't feel like the right decision, because I was drained, bro. It was just really draining. And like, we hadn't seen an action scene in a while, and it was just a lot of people talking and flashes. And I was like, why aren't we doing anything? I mean, I literally, in my head, I'm sitting there going, why aren't we doing anything? Like, why are we just talking? So that was just the strangest decision to me. It really is like the most just strange decision in this entire movie. But once we got going, I thought it was pretty fun. The whole thing about the mission and what we have to do, and we're gonna have to infiltrate that submarine that's been sunk, under the water and under the ice and everything. And that was something that they set up in the movie before. And you wanted to know more about that submarine and all that crazy stuff that happened at the beginning of the last movie. So it felt appropriate that we had to go there and do something. And I guess what I liked about it was not only was I just in desperate need of a good action sequence, maybe that was part of it too. I was just salivating for a good one at this point, and this was like one of their longer, more drawn out, thought about ones that they did. But I really liked some of the visuals in it. I liked all the different situations they put Ethan in, with these missiles and these bombs kind of falling into different places, kind of restricted his movement and where he could go. I like how he tried to open up one of those hatches where he thought he could get out, but it wasn't a place he could get out. So then he had to go and try to use another one. And all of this has to be in a time limit, and you can tell he's running out of time. And then the last tunnel that he opens up, he can't fit through because of his equipment, so he had to let his equipment out. I really liked all of the shit he was having to do in that scene and all the adapting he was having to do, because to me, that's Ethan Hunt. When things are their most chaotic, he seems to shine. And so that to me was like, that was Mission Impossible. That's putting him in an impossible situation and all these unlikely things come into play that could stop him. So I thought that was I really, really enjoyed kind of the story that they told with that scene. And then I loved at the end of that, when he's floating up to the ice and it looks like he's going to die like the other people that we saw. But then, he blacks out. And I thought that was cool that you don't see him rescued, but now we're in the chamber and we realize he's there. I just don't think Grace should have been in there either. He could have just woke up and been in it, or she could have opened it up and said, hey, we got you just in time, something like that. It was weird that she was in there and they're kind of doing this thing of they're together, but they're not. Or do they love each other or not? Like y'all are caressing and rubbing and touching. Like it almost was like it was supposed to be like a post-sex scene, but it wasn't. So then it was just weird. I don't know. That was strange. But everything before that I thought was really good. And yeah, that final action sequence in the planes, just as I was watching it, I'm sitting there going, man, he actually did this. Like, this is crazy that what I'm watching hasn't been altered. Like, it hasn't been altered where there's a screen and we're not really in the air and we're just in a set somewhere. It's hard to wrap your mind around this guy was on a plane, like at this age, climbing around doing this shit. And that scene lasted pretty long because he almost fell out and then he's hanging on the side of it. And Gabriel's all trying to, then at one point, he's on the side of it and Gabriel's trying to slash him with the knife. And even before that, he had to get on the plane and steal it from somebody else. So, I mean, that was pretty incredible, man. Just all of the ins and out of that were pretty cool. You already commented on the death, Gabriel's death in that, so that was pretty good. I even kind of liked what the rest of the crew were doing. And the whole thing where once it's infected, Grace has to grab it at the right time and has to time it right, and them picking her to do that because of her pickpocketing skills and that coming back to something she could do. All of that felt appropriate. I did like some of the aspects of that. I liked Simon Pegg damn near on the brink of death and having to coach somebody to medicate him and tend to his wounds while also he's trying to give direction to them. that scenario was good too. Like I really liked the second half of this movie and just some of the things they were doing with the characters. I really, really thought all of that was good. The stuff with the president and her almost getting shot and all of that kind of stuff did feel a bit dramatic for my taste, you know? I mean, I get that they had to do something and had to be important, but I felt like too much priority was given to them. You know, that's where we got all the exposition dump. And then the whole thing with the president, oh, I'm going to trust him, and the almost getting shot, but not, and then being like, yeah, we did it, Ethan. That just felt strange to give that so much importance.
Yeah, that's
so. I don't know. I feel like it needed less.
Oh yeah,
go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing with you. That was it. I don't want to say it's tacked on, but it kind of is.
It feels a bit out of nowhere, and I get it. You had Angela Bassett, you had Nick Offerman. I don't hate giving them something to do. They are good actors, but yeah. It did feel shoehorned in this. It felt like, it didn't feel like organically they were important. It felt like we're trying to make them important. Like, we're really trying to make them more important than what it seemed like they needed to be. And like, none of these motherfuckers were in the movie before this. Like, so it's just weird. You know what I mean? It's just... So it doesn't all fit, you know, it just, some of those people just weren't there at all. We didn't hear a peep out of them. Now, so something about that seems disjointed to me. So maybe that's it.
And then it ties into a scene at the end that is 100% unnecessary, which is Angela Bassett going to her son, who I guess is in the army.
Yeah.
Why? What the fuck?
Hi, Mom. I'm like,
and I get it's not that long of a scene. But like I said, there's too many unnecessary short fucking scenes in this movie.
Yeah. And
especially at the end when you're already kind of lackluster in the end anyway.
Yeah.
You're adding to it.
And if it's not really a final, did we have to kill Luther? Why couldn't it have been him going and talking to somebody he cares about? And shit at the end of it. Did we have to kill him in this? I mean,
right. I mean, and like,
I don't know if we did.
And the thing too, like, I guess maybe the only reason or like thing that had a little bit of significance regarding Angela Bassett's son is it sounded to me like whatever city they were planning to choose was a city that he was in. Because the lady was like, okay, did you call your son though? Like she did that whole thing. So that's the only thing I can think of as to why it was important that she saw her son after all this went down. But other than that, yeah. But again, even that part still didn't even really need to be in this movie.
But also, tell us what city you chose.
Exactly. Yeah.
Up the stakes. Tell us what city's on the line.
Right. Yeah.
And there was a lot of talk too, just about the world's on the line, Ethan. The world's on the line. It's all going to hell if you don't do it. If you don't do this, it's over for everyone. If you don't do it, it's over. And I get it. It's important. But dude, it felt like we reiterated that a lot. Like,
isn't that 7 of the movies?
It was on the level of Marvel with just the world is at stake. You know, if you don't do this, Ethan, the world is at stake.
But that's my problem, is the world's been at stake in almost every one of these movies. The world being at stake is not upping the stakes. It's always been that. You might as well have just been saying so much throughout this movie, Ethan, it's a Wednesday. Over and over again. Because when was the last time the world wasn't at stake in one of these movies? Really?
True, but didn't it feel like they just kept reiterating it? I swear. It felt like they said so much that it was at stake. Like, it was just like they were reminding us too much. Maybe they did think we were stupid, Sterling. in case you forgot, the world is at stake.
The only time I think the world
That song,
wasn't.
don't act like you forgot. I mean, it was like that. They just kept reminding. Kept saying it.
I think the last time the world wasn't at stake in one of these movies is technically the first one. Because it was just the knock list. It was just spies that were going to get outed, which I guess could have led to a world war. But like, outside of the world's been at stake every other fucking movie. It's been a biological pathogen. It's been a biological pathogen that turns out to actually just be an AI entity because they retconned 3. It's nuclear bombs in this. It's secret organization destroying the world in that. It's always online.
Yeah. And also, it's okay for things to be new. Not everything has to tie back to the first movie, the second one, the fourth one, the third one. Not everything has to connect. It's okay for things to be new sometimes too.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, if you don't have some really good ones, if you don't have a bunch of really good ones and all you have is like 1 or 2 good ones, just stick with that. Everything else can be new. It's all good.
If this had been like the 5th one, you're like, okay. But like, this is the 8th. And over half your franchise is really good. So it's just mind-boggling to me. So like I said, they want to treat their audience like they're fucking idiots. Just
yeah. Yeah. But, you know, but not to be, but yeah, I think I said everything I wanted to say. Like that, it, for the most part, though, it executes it. I mean, Tom Cruise, like, shows no sign of slowing down. I mean, the running scenes were on point.
Hey,
you know,
motherfucker,
Tom's
be running,
still
man.
running. Oh, when he had his shirt off or whatever and was in the cuffs and was fighting that one guy or whatever.
He was shirtless so much of this movie.
He was,
really
wasn't
was.
he? Like, and looked good. I mean, he looked pretty good, man. When he was down there, where were they when he was trapped and
When he was on the treadmill running in the submarine.
Well, they did that.
Oh
one.
yeah, when he was on the treadmill running, I was like, dang, dude, he's still, man.
But no, that's
Like, you know, some actors, and I mean, it's not, I'm not hating on anybody, but you know, some actors, you look at him and you go, well, he's in shape for his age. But you know, and you're still impressed, but you're like, okay, well, obviously his body's breaking down, blah, 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 blah. It's a natural thing. But him, I was like, well, damn, man. I'm seeing some road maps. I'm seeing veins. I'm seeing definition. Like, I mean, that fool keeps on his regimen.
man, that's peak shape for people.
Like, he's exactly. I was just impressed with his condition. And so I was like, man, dude,
Bro
he's
was
talking about doing
62 or
movies to
something?
100. Yeah, he might be the one that I believe. And then like that's another thing I wanted to say. It's kind of not so much movie critique, but just talking about him and his condition. All over social media, people will post memes of people the same age when they did a movie. And it's crazy, bro. Like, I think one they showed Gandalf and they were like, this is how he looks at this age. And this is how Tom Cruise looks at this age. And it's crazy, bro. Like, I'm starting to change my whole thing about what an old person is supposed to look like. And then you seeing like old people now, it's not even the same thing anymore. Like, you see two people the same age and the person from back then looks 50 years older than the person now, and it's a picture of them at the same age. It's crazy.
I mean, and then you think about half the people in Hollywood right now are like half of the most attractive ones are 50 plus. Think about this movie alone. Angela Bassett, Tom Cruise, like dude that was 70, whatever his name is. You're just like, what's happening? Like, we're reversing our ages.
Yeah. It's not the same thing anymore. Like, you know, that this idea that once you hit what, 40, 45, 50, you're just a decrepit person is not true. I just don't think that's true anymore.
And some people like now, at least again in Hollywood, like they're not even starting their careers or starting to get really big in their careers until later on, like 40s, 50s, like thinking about Pedro Pascal or Sterling K. Brown. Like it wasn't until their 40s, 50s that they started getting like a lot of work, because that's when they started thriving more, you know?
Yeah. And it's not even just rip people. Like, look at Keanu Reeves and what he's able to do physically in those later John Wick movies. And it's not even just like celebrities. Cause yeah, one might argue, well, they got the money and the resources and stuff. But dude, on my social media, there's 50-year-old people, and it's just people. They go and work out and they do not look 50. They do not look 40. They do not look anything their age. So it's just, and then seeing Tom do this and how well he's running and moving and doing the action scenes with no issues and climbing over planes, it just kind of changes your perspective about it all. It's just like, it just makes me question, do you have to be an old, decrepit person, or do we sometimes maybe choose that, but really maybe we could do a little bit better, you know? It's encouraging. It's motivating. But anyway, I'm done. You can go, Heather.
What you got, Heather?
Yeah, some of the stuff, it was a little touched on with what you guys said, but I do want to say, yeah, like some of these callbacks, which some were good, some were not. Like the thing about Briggs, that guy being John Voight's son, it just wasn't needed, because you also think about like the way that storyline plays out, and it would have been the exact same thing if he wasn't his son. If he was just kind of like, all right, I know that you want to kill me when this is over for whatever, it could be for whatever reason he wants it to be. It doesn't have to be anything regarding like a revenge, whatever. So I think that was a very unnecessary plot point, especially because they don't do anything with it in the long run. It's just something mentioned and then it's done with. Even by the end of it, that guy's just like, respect. All right, we're cool. Like you made it act like this was going to be his whole purpose for like finding you in this movie. And then he was completely fine. Like by the end of it, I don't know. So I didn't care for that callback necessarily. And I get what you're saying, Jastin, about like that underwater scene that he did, you know, when he's going into that underwater submarine and everything like that. But again, like, I don't know why. For me, I just felt like that was like an hour of the movie. It wasn't. I'm exaggerating, but it felt very, very drawn out, where it was just like, and for a movie too, where like, this is the least amount of action in a Mission Impossible movie, I'm pretty sure. It feels like it. You know what I mean?
And shoot, like, you might be right.
Yeah. And like, honestly, the best action scene is the one that you mentioned, Sterling, where like they're at the house and they're fighting the Russians. And at the same time, Ethan is fighting that other guy while he's on the treadmill, and they're interspersing those two scenes together. It was really, really cool. Really well done. I think that was probably the best action scene aside from the airplane stuff going on. But yeah, like, and I guess like the submarine thing, that was supposed to be like an action thing, like an action scene in a way in this movie, I feel like, or one of those, like, you know, he's on his mission and he's doing his stuff that he's got to do and like all this stuff. But it's like
an infiltration, I guess.
Yes.
You could say, scene that's like that Mission Impossible infiltration, like when he propelled down on the cable, or we got to go in the underwater, we got to go under here and get this. It was that infiltration scene.
Yes, that's a better way to put it. But for me, it just like, it didn't pack that punch that some of those ones in the other movies do, where they're like, especially like that first one, he's propelling down, all that stuff. That's you're on the edge of your seat. You're like, oh, what is about to happen? Is he about to get caught? What's going to go down? You know, and even the other underwater one that they do, where it's like, you have this amount of time and then you're going to just die or whatever it was. Like, there's just, I feel like this one, even though it was it felt like it actually is the highest stakes we're probably getting, they don't play it out as if it is, because I think, didn't they say something earlier in a scene where they're like, all right, you got 20 minutes to do this whole thing or something like it just, even if that's the case and that's not a lot of time for what he had to do, it doesn't hit the same in a movie when you're like, all right, you got 20 minutes to get it done instead of like 3 minutes underwater and then your stuff is just done and you can't do any more. Like it feels different. And I think that's why for me, it felt drawn out and it didn't really pack the punch that other infiltration scenes have done. You know what I mean? So that's just me. But again, like I understand totally why you did like it and why for you, you're like, that was awesome and you loved it. For me, I don't know. That just for me, I wanted more from that. If you're going to do something like a scene that was that long, I just kind of wanted a little bit more. It felt one like tone or pace the entire time and like didn't feel like anything was building as much in that one. But and also, yeah, like Ethan and Grace didn't need to be a romantic thing. Like that doesn't add to the story. You know what I mean? And like there was such a big emphasis put in some earlier movies on like he's only ever loved two people, right? Where it was like his wife and then I think the Rebecca Ferguson character, right? And they just put a lot of emphasis on that where it feels like it's just very hard for him to allow himself to love people and let people in. And I get Grace comes in and she's like this new person that, fills the void of these other two ladies. But I just don't think that adds to the story to be like any other female who comes in after this one, I have to have a romantic thing with, because you don't really need that. Like when I think Ethan Hunt, I'm not like, oh, romantic man. I want the romance here. Like it's nice when it's done right, but Grace and him didn't need to be a thing, especially in the final movie. You know what I mean? Like we are just introduced to her in the last movie. They had a really great dynamic with what they did in that first one with her. They just didn't need to make it something different in this. And then, yeah, I loved the addition of, was it Dunlow and his wife? That he was such a great character in this to me. Like, I just really loved everything they did with him. He had a nice dynamic with everybody. And that was a callback that did work. I agree with you on that, Sterling. That callback was great. And it was also just like, that made sense more as a full circle moment in a way to the original. And like, even for him as a character, where it's just like, I mean, he's shipped off to this place by himself because he like screwed up and whatever. And then now he comes back and he's able to be involved and help and like almost went out a hero. And he was still a hero at the end anyway, even though he didn't die a hero, he still lived as a hero. And just seeing like how he's been there for 30 years, he said, since the first movie. And just the wisdom that you hear in him, where he's just like, listen, I wouldn't have met my wife and had this life I've had if it weren't for what you did. So, like, you don't owe me anything. Like, that's like perspective. You know what I mean? That is perspective. And I think it was something just in the moment he said it that Ethan needed to hear that. And I really liked how they brought him in the way that they did. And I also liked the submarine captain. I forget his name, but he was just kind of fun. Yeah, his rapport with Ethan was funny when he was just like, Mister, you're crazy. Like all these things that he was saying. He was just a fun guy. And again, like these are just all these new characters that they play a significant enough role, but we don't get much time with them. It's just kind of like Ethan on these little different parts of his journey, meeting these people. And then the random, I think the girl that was there was the one who played Supergirl or whoever in the Flash movie. I want to say that was her. The girl that was on the boat that like saved him from getting killed by the guy when he was running. I'm pretty sure that was Supergirl. Anyway, but either way, like she was a cool character too. But again, like she has maybe a total of 5 minutes of screen time, and then we don't see her again. So I understand that this happens, like sometimes on these missions and these journeys that he does, you're just going to like have these characters that come in and out for an undisclosed amount of time. But as I was saying in my non-spoilers, like this is that movie where you focus on that team dynamic because it's the last movie. And I was just really like wanting so much more of that. You know what I mean? And they just didn't really give them that.
No, not Supergirl. She was in Twisters.
Was she?
Yeah, she was in Twisters.
Oh.
She was not in Supergirl.
Okay. She looks, I think she looks similar to the girl who played her then, but yes, I do remember her from Twisters now too. I think she's on Glenn Powell's team, right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah. But I know I had seen her in something else more recently. But yeah, so and then I also I like the addition of, I think the guy's name is Degas, the guy who was the partner of John Voight's son that kind of just decided to like go with Ethan's team at the beginning of this movie. I liked his character a lot too. And what I liked is they kind of alluded in the previous movie that he was starting to, he sort of understood Ethan's mindset a little bit more than the other people. And I really liked like in that last movie, and he was like, well, what if he had a reason for going rogue every time? Like, that's a question that nobody really ever asks about Ethan. They're just assuming like, oh, he just does what he wants to do and just doesn't want to listen. And I like that this character was like, what if he had a reason for why he did that every time? And so it kind of puts that position out there of, oh, this guy could easily just join Ethan's side and be understanding of like, I get why you're doing this, dude. And he kind of saw a little bit of what was going on there in that last movie of, you know, shady people that he didn't trust anymore. And so he's like, I get it, Ethan, you know, and then like he joins his team here. I thought that was really good. My only thing is, again, I wish we would have gotten a little bit more of like him getting acclimated to the team and the team dynamic, because they do that with Grace in the last movie. You know, when you kind of bring in new people, you get a little bit of that, like, okay, let me explain how this works, what your role is going to be. And him being like, wait, we could do all these crazy things. Like, I just feel like there wasn't a lot of that with him. It was just kind of like, you're in, let's go. And he's like, okay, whatever. And he just rolls with it. But that aside, he really was a good character. I just kind of wanted more of that, like, let's show this new guy the ropes type of thing. I think that would have been fun with the rest of the team. And I think that it is really sad about Luther, because I mean he's been in every movie, right? Was he in the first one? I think he's been in every single movie.
Oh yeah, because it's him, and he's, whenever Ethan is on outs with IMF, Luther was also. And,
yeah, right. So yeah, I mean he's just OG of these movies, and he's a great character too. So like, of course it was so sad about that. Unfortunately, I think, you know, right away when we first see him, we realize, oh, he's going to die in this movie, just the state he was in. But also more to the point you made, Jastin, of like, why did Luther need to die in this movie? Why did he need to be ill to die in a different way? Like, they could have had him not have this illness and still get captured by Gabriel to do the thing and gone out that way without being sick beforehand. So I guess I just wish that they didn't do that part.
well, because you would think it'd be impossible to die from an explosion if you had cancer. So they have to go the impossible route.
Sure. That, you know what? You're right. I didn't think about that part. But yeah, so and yeah, like he went out in a way that I would kind of expect Luther to go out if he was going to have to. I did actually like that scene with him where he's just like super calm, even though he knows he's about to die. Like, I really like how he did that scene. But it happens just so early in the movie too, where you don't really get to feel the effect of what's going to happen to him. because it's pretty quick in the movie if I remember. It's like within the first 15-20 minutes of the movie, I think, right? It's just early on. But like thinking about even like this last movie when Rebecca Ferguson's character dies, like halfway through, but like you kind of get to sit with it a little bit more and feel it a little bit more because you've seen her more in this movie and how helpful she is, and you just remember her from the past ones, and you're just like, no, don't let it be her that dies. And with Luther, you're just kind of like, oh, all right, well, he's dying now. He's like literally about to die right now. So that kind of sucked, you know. But
which is more reason why you kill Ethan Hunt too.
I did expect that he could die in this, but I was just like, is his whole team gonna go? Because they made it really seem like Benji was about to go for a minute. Which I like the way that you explained it, Jastin, about, you know, like he's injured and he's like struggling with his life, but he's explaining to this woman how to do this other thing. That was really good. My only issue with it is like they made a huge thing, like you're sitting there like worried about Benji's life, and then it just cuts to however long later and he's completely fine. So it was just like, oh, okay. I guess we were all just like, it didn't build to anything, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's got to be fairly soon because they give Ethan the drive. So it's not like it's like 8 months later, they're like holding on to that the whole time. But I mean, even with that whole sequence you're talking about, one of the things I liked is they kind of kept it very true to the Benji Ethan dynamic of when Ethan ran off to stop Gabriel or to get Gabriel. That's when Benji's like, okay, I'm glad he's gone because like I'm shot. Because he wanted to hide that from Ethan. Because if Ethan knew he was shot, Ethan wouldn't have gone.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah.
And so I like that because that's like shows their dynamic. They've been around each other since, oh, fuck.
I think 3.
Yeah, 3. You know, they've been around each other forever when it comes to that stuff. So it's like one of those things where it really kind of shows like, you know, the team. Like I know Ethan. If Ethan knows I'm shot, he's not going to, you know, go after Gabriel, or he's going to be distracted when he's going after Gabriel and all these things. And I don't need that. I need top Ethan, and I need him focused on that.
That's a good point. And that speaks a lot to that whole, he's going to be more of like a leader in this movie that they did with throughout the movie with him. So that does make sense. And because my view of it, or the perspective I was getting, was like, oh no, like it's this really struggle moment where like we don't know what's going to happen to him, and Ethan's not here to know that this is happening. Like if he was going to almost die, like let's see the emotion of what Ethan might think about losing his entire team. You know what I mean? And that was the perspective I had. But you're right, because he was like, you know, he wants me to be this leader now. I'm not sharing this with him because it's going to affect him doing what he needs to do. And that's again another kind of full circle thing for him of like stepping up and being like the leader that Ethan needed him to be in that moment. But that's a good point. I do think that that's true. I was just more like, oh no, like what if he had died? Ethan wasn't even like in the scenario to realize he had been shot. But you're right. That's true that he was like, no, I don't want him to know. But
and also that character never really is the character that gets to show like toughness like that. I thought he showed some real toughness there, man. Like,
oh yeah,
because he's going through that. He's trying to give direction and fighting consciousness and trying to help them at the same time, and still manage to be there and
he's
fulfill
like,
his role.
Here. Yeah.
Despite that. So he was not only looking out for Ethan, like Sterling is saying, but he was also completing his part of the mission, but whilst shot and got a pretty good injury. So he showed a lot of toughness, man, that you don't normally see from Benji.
Well,
right.
Well, also it kind of shows the whole idea of he's actually probably a better team leader than Ethan Hunt in all actuality, because whenever like they were doing that whole bomb thing, and Don Lowe and his wife were out there working on it, and that one guy stayed with them, and they're like, yeah, we'll sacrifice ourselves for this. Benji was like, okay, the deal, like the risks, we all know what we're doing.
Yeah, Ethan would have been like, no.
Exactly. Ethan would have tried to stop it and all this other shit, kind of like what he did with Luther and all this other stuff. When Benji actually understands in the field they're in, people will die. And if they're accepting it and they're like, look, this is my role, I'm going to die. Or there's just a super high likelihood. Like, they didn't die because they figured something out. But up until that moment, they were going to die.
And they knew that. Yeah. That's a good point. And I feel like that's even, you see that even more so with whenever Ethan tells him, like, hey, you go be the team lead, I'm going to be Gabriel. And like, you tell just by the look that they're like, we might not see each other. I don't know what's going to happen here. But they didn't dwell on it. They were just like, he was just like, okay. Like the look of like, I know, and I know that you know, but that was it. And then he was just like, all right, let's go. We got to get out of here. So yeah, that is a very good point. And it doesn't mean that he cared any less than Ethan did about these people's lives. But again, I think, the way that he has been around this for so long, realizing, like, for one, he also realizes that's exactly what Ethan's downfall is, unfortunately, is because of that. But also realizing, I mean, we're doing things that are impossible here. Like, we might not make it. And if you're on board with this and you know what's up and you're doing this, I'm going to assume that I don't need to convince you not to do what you've already said you want to do. So yeah, that's a good point. And so that's why I think he is a character that I think had so much growth in this movie alone. But of course, over the course of all of them, but in this one, you just see it a lot with like the leadership that he presents here a lot. And you're right, you don't get to see a lot of that side of him in the other movies. But again, I do love his humor, and Simon Pegg in general is just a gem, but I like his humor in the movies. So I kind of wish he would have had a little bit more funny stuff that he did, but he was all serious, all leader in this. And that's what they needed for this mission. But I'm just like, oh no, like I love fun, like hilarious Benji. And we didn't get really any of that here. But also Paris, Palm Clementop, I think is her name. The girl that was Mantis. She was great here too. And I think she had great character development as well. It's very subtle and it doesn't hit you over the head or anything like that. But I just feel like her learning how to trust people and that people aren't just out to like screw her over is something that she's seeing quickly with this team that she's with. And, trusting Ethan because of what her and Ethan have kind of even been through in the past 2 months before this. And I just think that she was a really good addition here because she's still that like killer mode, like I'm going to take care of business. But she's like, I know how to work in a team, but with a team of people who actually care about this and not just like, I'll kill you if I get a chance just because I don't want to share whatever, So I really liked that in her character here. So yeah, I liked all of that. I do agree though, it doesn't feel final. Like the last scene didn't feel like a final scene. It felt very like left open. And again, it was lacking in what you want for your finality. And again, maybe it is because they did so much of it at the beginning. The opening scene being Angela Bassett's character talking about all of this while they're showing clips of him. Like they did all of it up front. And so at the end of it, maybe they felt it would be more redundant, but I'm just like, but yeah, it doesn't have an ending. It does, but it doesn't. Like, it just doesn't feel like anything fully resolved. And like, I think about the Fallout ending and the Ghost Protocol ending and all these where you're just like, something like significant happens at the end of those, or something like nice. Like you see them all kind of like laughing, like, oh, great, we all survived. And like having a moment as a team together. Like you see that in these other endings and you don't get any of that here. So I think that was a missed opportunity to do something really cool for the ending of the whole series. So that's, unfortunately, missed opportunity is really where this one is. But again, I do see like some really great elements of what they did here. Also, along the lines of what you were talking about with Nick Offerman, Hannah Waddingham was an unnecessary character, unfortunately. Like, just that could have been anybody, first of all. It didn't need to be her. And I'm just like, she's incredible. And she has this presence about her. Let's use her in an amazing way in this movie for something. And she's just in it for like 3 minutes. And it literally also didn't have much to do with anything else in the rest of the film. So I'm like, come on, guys. If we're putting in amazing people, let's do something with that. And maybe there's a longer version of this movie where they have more stuff going on with these characters. But yeah, I just feel like it wasn't as like tightly put together as some of their other movies were.
No, that's fair. Oh man, you guys got anything else though? Any more thoughts? Final thoughts? You can do some final thoughts that aren't really that final. That maybe we can do some final thoughts again now. No, maybe in 3 weeks.
I'm good.
I'm good.
On that note, thank you guys for listening to this episode of the CineScores podcast. Check us out on the internet at www.cinemaslayers.com. We're CineSlayers Podcast on Facebook, Cinema_Slayers on Threads, Instagram, and Letterboxd. We are at CineSlayers Pod on TikTok and YouTube. Give us a 5-star rating review. Really appreciate it. Really help us out. Tell your family, tell your friends, tell your family's friends. Wait, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your friends' family, tell your family's friends. Most of all, tell those dear sweet mothers, because dear sweet mothers love.
You mean Tom Cruise?
Ving Rhames.
Oh, Ving Rhames. Valid.
We here at the Cinema Slayers podcast are pro Sydney, pro naked, and pro steak fingers. You. Yes, you cinefans, you are Knuff. Justice for Todd. Justice for stunt people. Justice for animators. Justice for caterers. Did I forget a justice?
No, having Chris out of there throws you.
God, it does, because this is the first one. It throws me off.
We've never had to remove someone from it before.
Yeah, I guess that's it. I mean, outside of that, as I always end the TikToks, the YouTubes, and most importantly, this podcast, just remember, according to Jastin, Moon Knight. Not Ethan Hunt, Moon Knight. But that would make sense, because Ethan Hunt can't be a Best Picture winner. That was stupid, Sterling. Let's try that again. Remember, according to Jastin, Moon Knight is a Best Picture winner.
Unless they do an Ethan Hunt movie, it's just called Ethan Hunt. It's the biopic.
Oh, that'd be funny if they do they should do an Ethan Hunt prequel from where he was a criminal, where he's running around doing crimes.
Oh yeah,
Cinema
Slayers. Where he made the choice. Yep.
I would watch that for sure.
They should do that. It could be called The Choice, dude. That's all. That's easy.
I saw some rumor that somebody said Tom Cruise was like, oh, if anybody's going to replace me in Mission Impossible, it's going to be Glenn Powell. I don't know if that was a true rumor, but I just know he responded to it. Glenn Powell responded saying nah, I'm not gonna go there. I can't do that.
That's the thing, is nobody wants to actually do the stunts, but you can also just go back to using stunt people. That's fine.
Yeah, justice for those stunt people.
Also,
but who wants to follow him though? That feels like.
Oh, no,
then you got to follow him. You're not doing none of the shit.
No, fuck that. I get it. I wouldn't want to do it either. I'm just saying you can actually go back to stunt people. It's fine. But also, on a different note, I don't think Tom Cruise has ever eaten popcorn before. Because there's lots of
I
videos.
saw that clip.
There's lots of videos in press of like, oh, Mission Impossible. Yeah. Oh, they're all together. Oh, look, they're all at the premiere. Look at how buddy they are backstage. All this stuff. And Tom Cruise is standing there eating some popcorn at one point. In a little tub. He's like, yeah, I go movies, my life, popcorn. Yeah. And he eats it in the most unnatural way ever. Now, I know most people, it's you grab a fistful and you just shove it in your gullet. I get it. I used to do that. I do one at a time, but I'm just very quick. And I do that so I don't end like I'm leaving the theater looking like I just face fucked a tub of popcorn with it all over my beard. You know, that's why I switch to one at a time. It's beard. I just don't need popcorn bits all up in this. But he eats it. He's just like tossing them into his mouth. But not like that playful way that they do all the time in like advertisements or in stuff for movies when it's like where they toss it up and they catch it, which nobody does in a theater. That's stupid. Just eat your popcorn. But he like takes it and it, like he puts it in his like fist and then he just rockets it into his mouth. Just one piece at a time.
Strange.
People don't do that. Tom Cruise has not eaten popcorn since 1992. And it's obvious. He just doesn't know what to do with it. You seen that shit? Kind of like how people eat like almonds.
Yeah.
You know, like
funny.
you got a hand of almonds, but you're like eating one at a time or you just toss them into your mouth. Yeah. So he's eating popcorn like a madman.
That's really funny.
I love the Mission Impossible movies, Tom, but you are a crazy person.
Yeah, it's just really strange, man. And why did he have to like rocket his hand up? It's just weird because he brings it all the way down here. And
oh yeah,
it's weird.
Maybe.
Why do you need all that momentum? It's just going right here, Tom.
Everything's got to be an action move to him. I don't know.
Dude, maybe that's all his muscles know how to do is exaggerated, intense movements.
If it's anything less than this, I'm not moving right.
His muscles go, if I'm not being intense, I ain't moving.
I'm not doing anything.
So he has to just do everything to the extreme.
Right.
Like he has to risk his life eating popcorn because he might just rocket one into his tonsils and choke to death. It's crazy. I'll find it and send it to you, Heather.
Okay. Yeah, that should be like a way that a person dies in the next Final Destination. Just trying to rocket launch popcorn into your mouth.
All right, guys. We done?
Yes.
I think so.
We're more done than this franchise, apparently. Later.